everyone, that's Black here, and welcome back to my game corner. How are you doing today? Because I'm perfectly fine. Just 10 years ago, the gaming community first encountered the concept of mascot horror. The pioneer in the genre was naturally FNaF. It was something new, different, full of dark and unsolved mysteries. Now, FNaF is a lot of bugs, idiotic AI, 4 different canons, and the community overflowing with frankly children. But how did such a game get to this point? And was it great in general? Today we will figure it out. Let me start with something that may have surprised many of you, or at least those who have recently joined the community. Hello, by the way, sit down, we have fun here. Where did the 4 canons came from? Well, the old game, FNaF 1-4, the new game was born with sister location, the book canon, and finally the film canon. It's crazy, right? It's important to note that some may say that the game canon could have been made into one whole, but I protest! As a person who has been in the fandom since almost its inception, I believe that FNaF 1-4 is a complete story with enough secrets. Naturally, the first block of this video will be dedicated to this very canon. Why was FNaF scary? Initially, FNaF has a pretty mediocre gameplay. Let's be honest, it's not exactly terribly fun to sit in one place, watch the cameras, and close the doors in front of the animatronics. Yes, at the time, this concept of the game worked pretty well, because it was completely new, and naturally, it attracted people. However, the main magnet for people was the mystery. What kind? Well, let's say the incident in the pizzeria. Scott Cawthon did a brilliant thing in his time. He did not give the plot directly. Hell, he basically did not give us any main plot at all. Going through the game, all you learn from the calls is all sorts of information that does not reveal even a fraction of the horror that happened in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. To tell the truth, Phone Guy is just a grain. A kind of cast fishing rod with bait to arouse interest. The bite? Murders? Animatronics that walk around at night? Put them in a suit? What's all this about? And Phone Guy's death? What happened? What was that creepy creature that killed him? Freddy? Anyway, the main game asked dozens of questions and cleverly hid the answers. It seems with the new parts we've started to forget what was so good about our FNaF. At that time, we had nothing on our hands. A game with recordings, a handful of animatronics, and a pizzeria. And oh yeah, of course, a ton of rare little things that appeared and/or changed in the building. Golden Freddy alone is worth something. Older guys, remember the first time you or your favorite Let's Player stumbled upon this animatronic? Instant panic, not understanding what was happening, complete brain shutdown. A complete hallucination with Golden Freddy also has an impact on the plot and was completely unexpected. A great reminder that even with the doors closed in the office, you're not protected. FNaF gave birth to theories. One by one, people began to unravel the terrible secret of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, because back then it was obvious. Under the bright, cute atmosphere of a children's party, there was a terrible and creepy tragedy. Later it began to become clear that there was more than one tragedy. FNaF struck the imagination not with its gameplay, or maybe not even with its plot, but with its skillfully hidden secrets. Scott managed to unite people into one huge community, some of whom were listeners, with others being detectives uncovering the secret. This is what fascinated, this is what interests people. FNaF fan games haven't quite managed to adopt this skill. Games that took FNaF as a basis haven't done a very good job of it either. No offense, but even if you take Bendy and the Ink Machine as an example of a FNaF follower game, not the best example but still, you can see that the developers, although they tried, weren't able to hide this secret enough. An ordinary player listening to audio recordings will quickly understand what's going on, and this is disappointing. On the other hand, Bendy and Ink Machine is worth analyzing separately. This game deserves a lot of attention and a separate video because its development and fall is a huge topic. As for good examples of mystery, well, Wick. Yes, we're back in this game again. Wick really did a good job of taking over the core concept of FNaF, maybe even too well. Cleverly hidden parts of the story in events, revealing the story of the children and victims of the forest, not only through the main plot, but also through rare random events. And then, after the release of the DLC for the game, the story was even better complemented and became integral. I recommend you watching my review of Wick if you haven't already, because I went into more detail about the game and its plot there. Back to FNaF. One game was not enough for people, and it is not surprising. It was impossible to reveal the whole secret, and when the whole data became known, people needed more of the sweet, interesting taste of mystery. And so another game came out, and another, and then a fourth. Some will say that FNaF could have ended with the third part, but I will say that the fourth one perfectly complements and completes the line of the terrible events that took place in the pizzeria. In a sense, it can be perceived as a kind of a DLC, a return to the moment mentioned in the first part of the game, but more on that later. The first 3 parts contained a terrible story about a killer, a man who deceived children into a staff room and killed them. And all this during the holiday. Then no one will notice, when children, naive little children, trust a big bunny with a golden fur. And to hide the traces of the crime, the maniacs stabbed the corpses inside of the suits of brand new animatronics. Without even thinking about the story with the spirits and the fact that the children became vengeful and began to look for their killer, imagine how scary it is. The result will be that the main villain will be punished in the same way as he did to the poor children. Crime and punishment didn't work out that well. But it was already such an emotionally powerful story, especially if you retell it as it was originally intended. FNaF 4 added another horrific event to overall plot: the damage and subsequent death of a child. I really like to talk about this, so now close your eyes and try to imagine what I'm saying. Pizzeria. A place where everything is good, where is a holiday all around, children screaming, adults chatting. Everywhere there is a smell of pizza, sweets, drinks, confetti, balloons everywhere. It all smells of a children's holiday and naivety. Funny melodic sounds come from the side of the stage. 2 large robots are dancing on the stage, a bear and a bunny with golden fur. You're a child who is experiencing happiness, such pure, naive happiness. You do not even notice that a group of teenagers passed by you, forcibly dragging a boy towards the robots on the stage, crying hysterically and resisting. And then suddenly, the whole holiday is cut short by a loud, heartbreaking, piercing scream from the side of the stage. As if on command, the entire audience, including you, turns towards the stage and see the most terrible thing that can happen in such a place. An image that will forever remain in your mind. The big mechanical bear is no longer moving, it's jammed. Scarlet blood is running down its legs, and its muzzle is also stained with it. You may not see it up close, but you notice that the body of a child is hanging from the bear's mouth. Curtains. Well, did I impress you? I knew it. Don't think that I sound crazy or enjoy such horror, but to be honest, I just like to remember what in FNaF was really scary. Now, knowing this, remember what is happening in the fandom now. Remember about Remnant, which replaced the ghost of the children, the eternally rising from the dead Springtrap, who has burned more than once. Remember how the secret works in the new parts, and feel how much it is not scary, how much this secret does not work, because it is no longer a secret. Slowly we get to why FNaF broke. Why it stopped being a creepy game with a plot that was fascinating. The fall. I will skip FNaF World for one simple reason. Initially, I, like many in the community, did not perceive this game as a part of the plot. It seemed that it was just a cool game which would be played mostly by a younger audience. Ever since its release, I really love FNaF World. It is a really cute and fun game, however, I will skip it again. Sorry all those who are very good at the plot and so on, I am a loser, an old man, whatever you want to call me. FNaF sister location. For me, the most boring, tedious and empty part. And it was with it that the fierce fan began, or rather the idiotic decay and fall of the franchise. From that moment on, Scott became as if chasing money. The fame of the franchise made it and its characters sellable. The recognizable images of the characters and the well-known scheme of his Doors Lights tablet worked wonderfully on the audience that was already nodding at everything. The fans were ready to swallow anything. Moreover, they pressed for a new part of the game. Then the books appeared, then the film came out. But first about the books. Funeral of Furies. If you read the FNaF books, you ask yourself, why? It felt like in the old days Scott just decided to spit in the souls of all theory lovers and revealed the entire plot, just because he wanted to. Later, however, it became obvious that the game canon contradicts the books, and then the questions began. Scott himself said, "Believe what you want," and so it began. The canons begins to mix with each other and get confused. The community was divided into several parts. Some believed in Remnant, others in the ghost of the children. Some shouted one thing, others another. The community began to fight over where the real truth lies and whose canon is more correct. I myself was and still am a supporter of the old game canon. I believe in the ghosts of the children, in the punishment of the purple guy, and in the tragedies that happen in the pizzeria. I believe in a certain closeness to reality, so to speak. However, I have friends who understand only the book canon or the new game canon, and it can be really hard to talk to them because of a huge difference in understanding of the plot. It is important to note that at this point, the game stopped being taken seriously. The plot became so absurd and illogical that it was hard to believe. The rising from the dead Springtrap became a community meme. Game after game, the franchise dug itself deeper into idiocy. With the release of the film, FNaF finally buried itself. What loyal fans were waiting for did not appear on the screen. Only a funny, almost childish fairy tale appeared. It would seem that it had everything what we were told. Vengeful children, a terrible killer, but it was presented so sweetly and softly. The animatronics did not give the viewers fear and despair. The death of the purple guy completely killed me. Let me remind you that according to canon, he died for literally the same reason as the boy from the fourth part. The animatronic mechanism broke due to the water. And yes, in case if you don't know, the purple guy died because he climbed into an animatronic suit, which were known for their spring mechanisms that broke from water. In the film, well, we all know what's in the film. A friendly reminder, we came here for a horror movie. It's important to note that it became normal for people that FNaF is a fun game with sharp jump scares from time to time, which is almost not scary at all. But it seems to me that we really began to forget why we were in this community in the first place. Where it all started, why we were afraid of it all. The community itself accepted this chaos, this childishness, and did not resist it. The result? Fans make it scarier than Scott will ever do. Is there still hope for FNaF franchise? Yes and no. Not long ago, a game based on the book Into the Pit was released. The only one that made me squill with a childish squill of joy. Why? I saw the corpses of children. For the first time in a long time, Scott seemed to remember what really made FNaF scary. And even such a small, literally second-long detail gave hope that one day everything will return to normal. However, looking at the future projects and what will be released soon, it seemed that we are already too deep into the abyss to climb back. The latest FNaF game that comes out looks more like puppy playtime, and despite the fact that I more than like this game, I sincerely would not want FNaF to slide into it. Over the years, it has been extremely hard for me to watch FNaF slowly fade away. It hurts and saddens me as a true fan, but apparently this happens to some fandoms over time, especially when their creators have a taste for money. The only thing that more or less saves FNaF is its fans. Creative people make games so well inspired by the original idea and vibe of the game, and it's not just about games. Also about VHS recordings, animations, artworks, a lot of things. It's amazing how fans manage to make such amazing things. The Return to Bloody Nights, VHS tapes by Squimpus McGrimpus, Graveyard Shift at Freddy's. the list is endless. I've named only a couple of my favorite projects that have the vibe that I miss in the original FNaF now. Well, FNaF is a franchise that has given us a lot, but now this once great game has become a circus clown, which is very sad. What to do about it? Well, basically nothing. It is simply impossible to do anything about what is happening. Even if the entire community suddenly decides to boycott, it will not help much. It will not be possible to return the franchise to the rails of horror. So all we can do is continue to be here and support each other. After all, who else but you and me can support that scary story, at least in fan art? I hope that at least one of you after this video will go and replay the first parts of the game or watch the VHS series from Scrimpus McGrimpus. It will be very nice for me. And I think I'll finish here. Don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell button. Have a nice one. Bye!